Okay, I see some people trickling in and joining. Welcome and thank you everyone for joining Fundamental Brands today for our webinar. Today we will be covering understanding your first monthly royalty payment and those after this. My name is Allison Mosca and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Fundamental. And I'm joined by Sam Genovese, founder, board member, and CSO of Fundamental Brands, and Clay Schreiber, our VP of Investor Relations. Before we dive into the presentation, we'd like to invite you to ask questions throughout via the chat. We'll look to answer questions towards the end, and any questions we do not get to today will be answered on our webinar page along with the replay being provided with today's session being recorded. Full Q&A will be posted on our website for reference as well. All right, let's dive in together. We'll pause here for a brief moment for everyone to view this disclaimer, but this can be found on our website and investor pages for reference. Fundamental Brands was formed in July of 2025 after multiple years in the making. We are a growth accelerator and holding company focused on scaling consumer brands across beauty, fragrance, personal care, and private label verticals. With our combined expertise, we seek to deliver what promising brands need to reach their next phase of growth with support in capital, distribution, marketing, manufacturing, R&D, digital brand building, and access to our powerful network. Now, I'll hand it over to Sam and Clay for our next section to talk through our portfolio and investment structure.
Thanks, Allison. Well, we're excited at Fundamental Brands to bring this to you, and I want to spend a little bit of time on what makes us different. And most private investments rely on a future exit to create the value. And so our objective is to build durable value across the portfolio with using only revenue-producing brands. And you'll hear us refer to that over and over because that is one of the things that makes us unique, especially concerning this strategy. Now, I want to get into this a little more as it relates to traditional ways of doing this and how we're doing it. So traditionally, if someone is raising money to do a startup, they're generally going to be unprofitable from the start. And that is common with most startups. And it's going to require high growth to meet most of their targets. They're always cash hungry because they're going to have a run rate or we might refer to it as a burn rate for cash that is going to be very, very high. They have to make sure they're taking advantage of the current opportunities, not necessarily the historical proven products. And then your money generally is going to be locked up with other investments for years before you're able to get any return whatsoever. Now, how is Fundamental different? Fundamental from the start, we acquire businesses with proven revenue history. This will make us and has proven to make us very unique in this space. And as we're raising money, it helps to keep that in mind that these companies that are being acquired have revenue already, and so we're not having to try to make them profitable, or this is not happening in theory. This is they have a proven track record with proven products. Most of them will have, and currently the brands that we have long-standing founders, and that will continue to be in place. Now, one of the things that I think should be recognized as well is that we'll have a common backbone of shared services. So as Fundamental acquires brands, not every brand needs an Allison or a CMO, a chief marketing officer. We can at Fundamental have one chief marketing officer and have a unified marketing strategy that builds synergy. And in that, you have a lot of shared practices with HR, with financing, that all the brands can benefit from. And then finally, and this is why we're here, is the monthly royalties. So your money's not locked up in theory forever. You're going to participate in this. And this is the beginning of that. This webinar is us announcing the beginning of the royalties that investors will begin to participate in.
I'll take this, Clay.
Great.
Today, our portfolio consists of Amala Beauty, which was our first acquisition in 2025. The brand was engineered for performance in Germany, but lacked the marketing needs in order to achieve success here in the US. As recent as the other day, we've added Great American Beauty to our portfolio and team. They are a 30-year plus company, heavyweight in the fragrance space for years and years, a solid company. And then, as we're going to speak a little later on, Fundamental Lab Solutions, which would be our first private label product that will be shipping to CVS across the country to all 8,700 locations plus online.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for walking everybody through this. So today, everybody, we've gathered some commonly asked questions that we've received to respond to live to you all. Hopefully shedding some light on some of those questions and able to answer those today. And then we'll take a moment at the end for live Q&A as well. So our first commonly asked question is, how does the rolling investment schedule work?
You want me to take that?
Yeah.
Perfect. Great question, Allison. So our model is a rolling schedule. Basically, you can continue to put money into the roll up as it goes. It doesn't close. So you can put an initial investment and always add across the life of the raise. Whereas we don't have a first to close or final to close, which shuts investors out after the initial contribution.
Excellent. So again, everybody, when you invest determines when your distributions begin, and we'll loop that back to our payment schedule today as well for you all. Next up, so our first distributions are on track for May. What does this milestone mean for our investors?
Well, this has started, and I think this is probably, Sam, one of the most exciting things about what's happening with Fundamental is it's no longer in theory, right? It's taken a while to get here, but now at this point, being able to announce that the distributions are starting, and that's the exciting thing about the acquisitions, about the revenue that's coming in, proven track record companies. And there is it provides a stability, right? Because this is based in revenue, not in earnings after everything has been thrown in, right? So I think this is a big deal for Fundamental, and that's exciting for us as a company moving forward. And the feedback that we're getting is exciting for the investors because they're going to start getting paid and making returns with the royalties on their investment.
Exactly. Based on the month that the investor joins, they are able to, those payments occur by the end of the following month, in this case, by the end of May, based on when you would join. So again, our first round of distributions are on track for by the end of May for everybody. Okay, and how are distributions calculated? I know we gave an example earlier, but Clay, Sam, you guys able to elaborate there a little bit?
Yeah, let's review that again. So we're with the contract, it's set, and it'll be based on the amount that's invested. And so the more that you invest, obviously, the higher your return's going to be. But it will be a minimum of an 8% annualized, and then that will be capped at 20%. And so we are using the target of 14%. And in that example, again, the math looks like for every $1,000 invested, you will get a $11.66 return. So the more you invest, obviously that return gets increased.
Excellent. How is Fundamental adding to existing revenue that can positively impact royalty distributions?
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Great question. Most brands follow the premise of let's put a video on Instagram and all of a sudden we're going to generate immediate results. Actually, that's not how it actually works. So we look at tried and true marketing strategies to take a brand and deploy those strategies in a meaningful way. And that helps brands elevate. It's always a gradual increase. It's not an overnight sensation because that's a one and gone. Also, what we're doing at Fundamental, as we alluded to before, our first product to CVS that's going to go into 8,700 stores. That's immediate revenue impact to Fundamental's bottom line as we were making that product for CVS. And there's more SKUs in the pipeline for them.
Awesome. And we've heard private label mentioned to that example you just gave, Sam. With Fundamental, what does private label mean in this context, and how does that work?
That's a great question, Allison. So those terms are used interchangeably, actually very different. Private label is where a company like CVS or Costco or Target comes to a group, Fundamental Lab Solutions, and says, we want a product made in this space. So we formulate the product, we design the packaging, the rollout strategy. They give us their assets to put their brand, but that is unique to them, right? White label is it's like bottled water. You can buy bottled water, you put your label on it. It's the same bottled water for everybody, and it's sold under that brand. So it's not unique to that company. So there really is the difference where private label really does stand out because you take it from bottom to top and then get it rolled out on the shelves.
Awesome. Okay, from a presentation perspective, everyone, that brings us to the end of that presentation. And now we'll take a moment to review some questions in the chat and address live. Again, any questions we do not get to today will be answered on our webinar page as well as website for reference. Let me go ahead and stop sharing screen and take a look at the chat. Okay, we've had a couple questions roll in. Okay, guys, here's our first one that we can go with. Are there more brands coming on board?
Actually, yes, we're excited. We're excited at this point after the announcement with GAB. We have 3 other brands in the pipeline and also some integration plays for Fundamental. As we go down this road, we'll be announcing those shortly. There should be a new announcement coming out in about 2 weeks, but we're excited to do that. And we're also looking at a technology component to help brands in this space continue to navigate and grow.
Excellent. And we have one on the calculations here that I think we can actually answer pretty easily. There's a question on that example calculation we walked through of, is that $11 monthly, the 14% of 1,000 is 140 over those 12 months?
That's correct. For the $1,000, you would make $140, but we're targeting that as a payment on a monthly basis. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to wait the full year to get your $140, that you're going to get that on a monthly basis.
Excellent. Okay, and we have a pretty meaty one here. Why should someone invest in Fundamental Brands?
Take that.
Yeah. So, I think that's a great question. Sometimes I think we spend a lot of time, touching on some of the finer points of this. And just an overview, I think, is a great idea. And I think you've got a couple of things to think about in this is, one, as you're making investments, you many times think, okay, when is this going to pay out, or when am I going to get any kind of return? And then what might my upside be? Do I have any upside? And that's the exciting thing about Fundamental. We're doing some things in this space that are very exciting. We're seeing these companies that Fundamental has acquired that currently produce revenue, and we're hoping to grow that revenue. We're seeing some tremendous positive movements in those areas. Amala has had tremendous success. We're excited about some of the future licensing announcements that we will make with Great American Beauty. But just as an investor, you have two things I would think about. One is the distributions will begin at the end of May. So this is going to already begin having royalty payments coming into your account on a regular basis. Again, contractually minimum 8%. We're targeting 14%, and that will begin next month. So that's the exciting thing about it. I think as an investor, I think that's a great question, because if you step back and get the overview of it, you can participate relatively quickly in the process of this as an investor and have a stream of income that should be coming in through the royalties. So So yeah, that's a great question. So thank you.
Excellent. We have a couple other questions that I'd like to take as takeaways for everybody so that we can come back with some of those metrics that are being requested. And the team, everybody can find those on our website Q&A. We'll answer those coming out of this together. But we're coming to the end of our presentation today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. This was fabulous to run through, just making sure our investors understand the royalty payment structure. And again, today's session has been recorded, so we will be able to issue this out to all attendees and any of those who might have missed it to watch the recording back and catch up on what we reviewed today. And then again, remaining Q&A will be answered on our website and investor pages for access for everybody. But thank you again for joining us today, and have a wonderful rest of your Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.